This is Dodger, and you're watching my show.
3, 2, 1, ready, go!
It's the new year! We did it! We lived. Guys, I feel very good about this January. I've got a planner. I remembered my microphone the first time. Things are looking up. I put on lipstick and it hasn't gotten on my teeth yet. I don't think. Find out later when I'm editing this. So let's talk about some games. I really want to start off with one of my favorite games in the whole wide world that got a huge expansion, but not from the original creator. For any of us that play Binding of Isaac, we know that Afterbirth Plus is going to be coming out in like 2 weeks, something like that. All of the Binding of Isaac games have always gotten huge updates, like tons of new items, new areas, new creatures to fight, and all kinds of stuff. And it's what really fleshes out the game and makes it feel so gigantic and makes it feel like you can combine an infinite number of items and just have a completely different build every single time, right? So because there's so much love for this game, it's not all that surprising that eventually somebody was like, you know what? I'm gonna just mod a huge expansion myself. So this trailer that you've been watching is actually a trailer for what is being called Antibirth. It is a huge mod that has all kinds of stuff in it, just like a normal update would. And I think the first question that a lot of people are having is, okay, well, cool, this mod adds in like really good co-op play, tons of monsters, tons of items, like things that the community really wants. But we have Afterbirth Plus coming out really soon. So what does that mean for this mod? Is the mod even gonna work once Afterbirth comes out? Good news, apparently Ed McMillan was like, yo, I like what you're doing. Here's all the assets you need to try and make this a smooth transition. Both Ed McMillan and the team of 4 who made the mod, both parties are saying like, you know, we're not promising anything. We're not promising that it's all gonna work out and you're gonna be able to play all of this stuff integrated together. But, I mean, it's a really good sign that McMillan was like, yo, I appreciate what you're doing. I love it. Let's try to make this happen for everybody. So if you're like me and you really just want to play some Binding of Isaac now, but Afterbirth isn't out yet, you should absolutely check out the mod. And if you look in the description, I will also put the website for the mod. Because they have like a donation link and all kinds of stuff. If you really love what they did, I'm sure they would appreciate a couple winkarooskies, you know, like in the form of dollars. Wink dollars. So last week, Night in the Woods finally got a release date. And I was so excited because, you know, when you look at a game and you just feel like, yes, this game is for me, right? Aesthetically, the music, the controls, I love everything about this game. You play the demo, and it's still fantastic, and you get yourself super hyped up for it. That's how I feel about Night in the Woods, you guys. So, last week, they released a teaser trailer, which I thought actually was just like a full-on trailer. A lot of people are calling it a teaser trailer, but it feels very jam-packed with stuff, right? Like, that's what's playing right now. And they also said that the game was gonna come out on January 10th, and I was like, yes, it's so soon! Unfortunately, they've now said that some problems came up and it's gonna be pushed to February, which is fine. I'll deal with it. So for any of you who are like me and have been really, really excited about Night in the Woods and are really disappointed, if you haven't played the supplemental game, you absolutely should. You can find it on itch.io for like $5. Oh, what's it called? Longest Night, Lost Constellation. That's what it is. It's the same art style, it's the same like music style, it's just, If you need to scratch the itch, that's where you should go, I think. I'll put that in the description as well because my jazzedness for this game is great and mighty and pure. But yeah, beginning of February, that's all we know. We don't have an actual day anymore. ARG Survival Evolved got a little bit of heat for how they conducted themselves with the Steam Awards. Basically, ARG Survival Evolved, which is an early access game that has been early access for quite a while, this game was up for a Steam Award. All of the Steam Awards have just very silly category names, right? And one of them was Best Use of a Farm Animal, and ARG was up for that. So the ARG team said, yo guys, we're up for an award, Best Use of a Farm Animal, so if we win the award, we'll try to push this sheep out as fast as we can. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna read the direct quote. This post is gone now. but we've got the way back machine, so whatever. If ARG wins the award, we will ensure that our fluffy friend quickly makes its debut on the ARG in the next major version update. So then a bunch of people were like, I'm sorry, are you trying to bribe me? Are you trying to tell me that if I don't vote for your game, then I'm not gonna get this adorable sheep? Now later the team clarified, again I'm just gonna read the direct thing. We were encouraged by Valve to rally the community to come together and vote in the upcoming Steam Awards. We thought, what better way to do this than add a modern-day farmyard animal? In our excitement, Ovis Aries was designed as a celebration of the nomination. We want to make it clear, regardless of whether ARG wins a Steam Award or not, Ovis will be making its debut in the next major ARG version update. Like if they had already begun development on this creature for the game, it was going to come out. It was going to be part of the game. It's not like they would start working on it and then if they lost the award be like, oh, well then never mind. And of course, there was a whole bunch of people who also said, wow, I can't believe that a game that's in early access is winning an award. But I mean, there are so many early access games on Steam that if Steam decided that early access games could not be part of the Steam Awards, don't think that would make sense. I just think it's important to keep in mind when talking about ARG, right? Because I think people get a little bit snotty about ARG because it's been in early access for so long, because they released DLC while still in early access, right? There are a lot of aspects to it that people have felt weird about because it just seems like a bizarre order to do things. But the whole idea of early access is still kind of a new concept as well. We're basically watching the entire alpha process of a game. And that's long, that's like a long process. Beta is when you're trying to do bug fixes and shit. Alpha is when you're adding in all the dinos, all of the creatures, trying to figure out what all is inside of your game. And while I don't necessarily have an opinion one way or the other about the DLC, like I understand why people thought that it was strange and I understand why people are like, who cares, I'm having fun. But I don't think that anybody can say that ARG does not have enough inside of it to be worth the money. If you personally don't feel like it makes any sense because it's in early access and you don't want to support the early access model, that's totally fine, I get that. But whenever ARG is involved in a situation, the whole conversation eventually comes right back to, well, but they've been in early access for so long, they're basically swindling people at this point. But they add content constantly, right? Which is one of the reasons why I don't think that I don't believe that they meant any ill will with the sheep thing. I don't think that they intended to just like keep the sheep from people after being like, hey, look, this sheep that we made, you know? Just overall, it seems like the team wants to make the best game that they can. And if some of the things that they've done seem like they should not have gone down the way that they did, at the end of the day, I don't think that anybody can say that they don't have enough inside of it, right? That the game isn't worth as much as they're asking for. This next topic is going to be about Frog Fractions 2. Why am I telling you that? Why am I alerting you to this? Because it's been an ongoing ARG, and I think a lot of people don't want to know yet, right? There's a lot of information out about Frog Fractions 2 right now, and if you don't want to know anything, if you're still trying to like put all of the pieces together yourself and you don't want to know, I'm gonna put a little like cat head right there. As long as that cat head is there, I'm talking about Frog Fractions, okay? So if you want to like mute while this cat is there, go for it. Or if you need to like step away, that's fine. And hopefully you come back for the topic after that. Be gone? Did you do it? Okay, so Frog Fractions 2 has been found. We have solved the ARG, I guess. You can play Frog Fractions 2, but it's inside of another game. Some people feel very uncomfortable about this. They believe that the ARG should have revealed just the base game of Frog Fractions 2, but I think that this is hilarious. So the original Frog Fractions wound up having this strange cult following because it seemed like it was going to be an educational game, and it was not. It was a really bizarre game, right? And so then this ARG started with Frog Fractions 2, and everybody got really super into it. And now we know that Frog Fractions 2 is inside of another game that was just released by Adult Swim called Glittermitten Grove. Glittermitten Grove itself is a perfectly fine game, all on its own, but there are methods to be able to find Frog Fractions 2 inside of it. Again, some people not okay with this. How dare you? We've been working on this ARG forever, and now you're telling me I have to buy a game that isn't even Frog Fractions 2 in order to get Frog Fractions 2. And Glittermitten Grove itself actually had a little bit of weird feedback just on its own, because it's a $20 game, or is it a 20-pound game? I can't remember. It might be both. I never know how Steam does that. But, you know, the initial response was, is this actually worth that much? And of course, now that we know it's 2 games in 1, yes, it is. There are full write-ups at this point on how you can find Frog Fractions 2 inside of Glittermitten Grove. If you would like to see that, I will link in the description. And now we can set all of our muted friends free by taking away the kitty head. Hi, welcome back. Black Desert Online, the grindy McGrindfest that everybody loves or hates, is now offering a free trial. You can play the game for free for 7 days. The game is already very cheap, but you can play it for 7 days. I think there's this weird assumption, and I don't know where it came from. A lot of people think that Black Desert has a subscription, but it doesn't. You can buy the game right now for $5 and just play it. And it has an incredible character creator inside of it. Like, there's a lot to this game. And yes, there's lots of stuff you can buy inside of the game. Not even pretending that that isn't a thing. But it's just bizarre to me. Anywho, yes, if you would like to play the game for free, you can for 7 days. They're doing a trial system. Sam loves that game. I know a few people who are still playing that game fairly consistently, but it is a huge grind, right? Like, it's different from how I think Western MMOs work now. They play to different audiences, but there's a lot that you can do inside of the game, and again, the character customization is just nuts. If you would like to play it, I'll link in the description, and the next time somebody that you know is like, I don't want to play Black Desert because it's subscription-based, you can be like, you're wrong! You're wrong! How can you be so wrong? As a final bit of news, Phoenix Comic-Con is trying to get volunteers to pay to volunteer there, which is one of the more bizarre things I've read about today, I gotta be honest. After a huge overhaul in the people who are running it, and remember, like, Phoenix Comic-Con started off with like a couple hundred people and is now blown up into a really, really big Comic-Con. So they, you know, did a huge changing of the guard. And suddenly they've decided, okay, volunteers are going to have to still pay in order to potentially become volunteers. Paying doesn't even necessarily mean that you get to volunteer. They're claiming that the reason that they wanted to do this is because, and I'm sure every convention has this problem, but it's because they get volunteers who just want the free pass, and then that volunteer blows off all of their work. So they're now hoping that if the volunteers pay a membership fee to the nonprofit that's associated with Phoenix Comic-Con, then they'll be less inclined, or then the money will make up the difference for their lack of work. I don't know. So I guess it's either you buy a ticket, you buy like a pass to go to the convention, or you pay a $20 membership fee to Blue Ribbon Army, which is the nonprofit that's associated with Phoenix Comic-Con. And then you maybe become a volunteer. You get put on a list to potentially become a volunteer. So you still might not even get a pass or have the ability to go to the convention. At least that's the way that I'm understanding it. And if I'm wrong, feel free to let me know, because there isn't a whole lot, like, the actual people who are running the convention are not really responding to this at all. And I feel like other conventions have come up with ways to combat this exact same problem, right? You hire a few people who are the delegators. You don't just have the entire staff be volunteers, right? You have specific people who are in charge of making sure that all of the volunteers know what they're supposed to do, that they're on task. That way you make it so that volunteers have like a short window of time. You can be like, all right, you know, your shift is 4 hours, and then the rest of the time go and have fun. So it inspires a bit more of a feeling of, okay, I'm gonna do my best for those 4 hours, and then I'm gonna go enjoy the convention. Some other things that have been suggested are like, why don't you take a scan of every volunteer's ID, and then if they're a terrible volunteer, then just blacklist them, like don't let them do that again. I think that there are lots of other options instead of saying, hey, you need to be constantly donating to this nonprofit that you may or may not care about, and then you might not still be able to become a volunteer. It's just a very bizarre situation. And I don't know if it's being explained incorrectly, like if it's being talked about in a way that makes no sense and is kind of convoluted, or if that's actually how it is. And it sounds like there have been people inside of the system who said, I think this is a bad idea. And they were like, you don't know what you're talking about, this is a great idea. So I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is. I don't know what the right way is to handle that, to handle, you know, people just being assholes. I don't know how to handle that. But I think that this method specifically is not only convoluted, it's also just kind of bizarre to not guarantee that by doing what you're asked, you will get to be a volunteer and you will get to go to the convention. That seems strange. Anywho, that's been my show. Thank you so much for watching. If you have a positive or a negative response, feel free to leave it in my comment section. And if you would like to watch my streams, you can find them at twitch.tv/dexteritybonus. So I hope to see you there at some point. Yeah, it's the new year. Happy New Year, everybody. I hope that you enjoyed Vlogmas if you were watching that. And let's get back into it. Let's have a great beginning of the year. Okay? You gone? Did you do it?